Hello, it's Daniel Beckett here again for a quick YouTube video on 10 basic tips on improving your art. So, number one. Number one is basically to draw every day, no matter what. You could draw after work or during lunch breaks or all day, depending on your work schedule and how you want to really improve. Just draw, practice anything. This could be studies, So this is number one. Right, number two is to think of the five. Well, I think there's 5 different basic structures to drawing. There's line, there is shape, there is form, line, shape, form, there's shadows, line, shape, form, shadows, and shading slash rendering. And those are the things you should think about when drawing. Shading, rendering. Number 3. Tip number 3. Tip number 3 is basically to do your research. So if you're, say, drawing anatomy, you would be looking at a lot of anatomy references and just studying and working out how their body proportions and reading books about the anatomy and things like that. Not just randomly drawing stick fingers, as is. You got to think about more than just, the basic stick figures. Because to get better, you've got to go from stick figures to actually working out proportions and things. And that brings me on to step 4, is learning proportions. There's many ways to do this. One way I like to do, or I did do, is to think about how many body is usually 7.5 heads. So if you keep that in mind always, you'll always have it in your head, and you can do this by drawing heads over and over again, and sometimes you can do all this repetitive stuff and see that's smaller than this head I can see, and you can use rulers and things to fix these up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5. 7.5 to 8 is roughly, so it's just working with proportions. You can do many things, but doing some little simple exercises before you do start to draw a good piece will help you out. Say if you're doing daily drawings like I did, do a little daily drawing before you actually start anything else. Find that a good exercise, and I pick something random that I want to draw and I draw that. I don't spend too much time on it either. Step 5, having a work schedule is step 5. So just think about how many hours a day, and break it down to where you want to spend so much time. For instance, you could spend time on working out proportions, for say an hour a day or something. But you could do, break things down, so say like when you finish your day of whether you're working or whether you're studying or working, you spend half an hour a night or half an hour in the morning doing some quick pose sketches, and that will help you improve on things. If you keep at it every night, you shall improve. 6. 6 is a hard one. I'm not ordering this in importance, I'm just giving out 6 different tips, or 10 different tips on how you can improve and things like that. Number 6 is going to places and meeting people and just walking and or getting up and doing things maybe that you wouldn't do, say for instance going to conferences to learn stuff, watch videos online about, drawing and art and things like that, say like this video. Yeah, and just showing people your artwork. Maybe someone that's creative might give you some tips and feedback, and it's a helpful thing is to go out of your comfort zone, go do something, even go take a drawing pad somewhere and go draw some sheep up the road, or if you know someone that owns a farm, go draw some things at the farm, or go draw some bush or some trees and things like that. So yeah, going out about drawing real things, not always sitting on the computer just focusing and things like that. Always just go out your comfort zone. And yep, that's another way you can learn. 7. So number 7 is to, when you go outside and look at things, you always think about how you can draw that. Just if you think how you can draw it, you can mentalize it in your head, and you can approach it on the paper much better than you would if you just randomly try to draw it over and over again. You always think about, break things down into simple shapes, like circles, squares, and triangles, and just make a form out of them sometimes. But think about how you would make this. Say if you wanted to draw a cat, it'd be triangles, circles. It'll be better than that. Thinking you probably want to use a bit more reference, but and 8 is, say from other artists, look at their work, even copy their work. Don't share it and say, oh, this is my own, please credit, and things like that, because you might get into trouble. But there's nothing wrong with doing a classical painting or copying someone else's work, as long as it's only for it's not for personal gain. It's for learning and it's a personal gain in a way, but learning and to improve and things like that. You want to always do that, and also go out and do studies, studies of trees, like I said, or studies of whatever you can see, studies of other artists. 9 is you can read books about drawing, how to how to draw mythical beasts and how to do things. They always come up with structures and things on how to approach it. For instance, it says step 1, draw this, step 2, draw this, step 3, draw this. It's an approach in a way, it's always about the simple shapes. They usually break it down to simple shapes. So the more of those you can do, the helpful it will be, and you can manipulate those things to really just play around. And that leads me to the last one, number 10. It's called play around. So play around is just sometimes, every now and again, other than doing work, or say you're studying or painting all the time, play around. Sometimes you just sit there. It's kind of like doodling. You just create something and play around. Sometimes you can get something quite good, sometimes you're in Photoshop just playing around with the brushes and things. But yeah, it's always just to experiment and try new things. Every once in a while, like for instance, I did a watercolor painting. I'd done a watercolor painting before pretty much, so I decided to give it a good go, because I was really interested in learning a bit, and it turned out well. And you know, trying new mediums is another way to do it, is playing around with the mediums. Don't always be stuck to one medium. I always tried to do color pencil, and now I'm doing digital painting a lot, which was a change for me, but now I always try and go back and forth between color pencil and digital art, and sometimes I might slip in a painting if I find the time or want to experiment a bit more. Ink drawings I'm looking at doing. So yeah, thank you for joining me in those 10 tips. Hopefully these did help you. Please share, subscribe to my channel. There'll be more tips on things, and I can do more how-tos if you like and subscribe and comment on what you want how-to draws or how-to-dos for. Thank you. Goodbye.